Last week, a team from our church went to preach the law and gospel at a Witches' Day Out festival in Cynthiana, Kentucky. We had a glorious time, and many heard the good news of Jesus Christ. I announced our arrival on social media in order to request prayer, saying that we've come to stir up trouble to the glory of God, because I was aware of the effect that preaching Jesus has on those who are intent on celebrating wickedness. And as expected, we have received responses, like this one, in an email from a lady reverend. And I think this email does a good job at highlighting the silly, nonsensical syncretism that is on the rise among those who wish to blend paganism and the occult with Christianity. For example, here's a Facebook group called Christian Witches, Trinitarian Wiccans, and Christo-pagans. Likewise, with this lady reverend, she was quite disturbed and perturbed that we would dare proclaim that Christ does not actually mix with paganism at all. Jesus makes extremely exclusive claims, such as he is the only way to heaven. Nevertheless, most of the people at this festival celebrating sorcery, whether seriously or just for kicks, claim to be Christian. Is this kind of syncretism valid? No. First, Jesus is the Word made flesh. When God speaks, Jesus speaks. So Jesus said in Exodus 22:18 to the nation of Israel that they must not tolerate even the presence of a witch in the midst of them. It is Jesus who says in Revelation 21:8 that all sorcerers will have their part in a lake of fire. The nation of Israel is repeatedly warned against syncretism with the religions and pagan practices of the surrounding nations, and Christians, now Jew and Gentile, are a holy nation, a people for God's own possession, who are called to keep ourselves unstained with the world. So to go to sorcerers, pretenders, or otherwise and say, hey, this is what Jesus says, stop and turn to him, is the only reasonable thing a Bible-believing Christian could do, and so it is quite sad that no churches from the area showed up to proclaim the good news. But back to the email, because this is good stuff. She says, I am deeply rooted in my faith with Christianity, and I ooze paganism. Paganism. She oozes it. Like pus from an infected wound, and the only remedy is the gospel of Jesus Christ. Now, she's clearly made a god in her own image, which is, of course, what all Christo-pagans will do. Like her god, she's welcoming and open-minded to everyone, except for anyone who contradicts her self-formulated ideas, of course, like people who believe the Bible. Now, it's important to note the boast of righteousness at the end of this tantrum. As she points out, money raised at this event goes towards funds for a dear child battling cancer. But the reality is that the witch community saw an opportunity to attach a good cause to their celebration of wickedness. It justifies them in their eyes, and in so doing, they can now lob that against anyone who would denounce their celebration. To state it plainly, they have used this poor child to advance their evil cause and normalize the occult and familiarize children with paganism and blaspheme the Lord. If it was really about the child, the event would have needed no other theme than the cause itself. Surely such a caring community could have come together and put on a festival for the raising of funds without promoting witchcraft. She signs the email, Reverend, proud Christian, proud pagan, Christian, pastor. Are you prepared to bring the gospel to bear upon this syncretism, upon this growing mode of blasphemy? Are you prepared to stand firm on your biblical convictions when the witches point out their righteous deeds? You know, if you are a Christian, that apart from Christ, all the righteous deeds of men are as filthy rags, and no one is justified by them. On the day of judgment, Christo-pagans will not be able to point to the supposed righteousness by which they now seek to justify themselves. They need the gospel, so go and make Jesus unavoidable.
On the avenue with Joshua and John, got accountabilities like manager of funds, but we're passing through this area like air into the lungs, trying to breathe out what's imperative. The people perish on, this is perilous.